Hey guys, we're going to take a few minutes today to talk about our hip positions and stances and how those hip positions are affected by the upper body techniques that we are throwing. This skill will apply largely to kata and to our waza techniques, but will also apply to kumite, so you can make sure to take this principle and spread it across everything you train. Hips are essential to everything we do in karate, so when we are driving into our different stances, we need to make sure we understand how we are reaching those positions and what's biomechanically correct for our bodies when we are driving into those positions. The first position we're going to talk about today is called the hanmi position. Hanmi, roughly translated, means half facing. Now, if you don't tie an upper body technique to your stance can be facing any way you like. Zenkutsudachi could be here, it could be here. In a more natural position, you do see a little bit of a bend and you see the belt facing kind of 30 degrees. The hanmi position takes advantage of that when we put our lead punch in. And you can see very quickly that our belt maintains that position. Hanmi, so I am half facing. The second position we're going to find ourselves in is called shomen, which roughly translated means to the front. So if you think about that, when you take your Zenkutsudachi position, we just said hanmi was 45 degrees facing in the hips and as a result in the shoulders. Shomen would mean to turn our hips towards the front of the club. And that dovetails perfectly with the fact that you would be throwing a double-handed technique. Okay? You wouldn't be throwing it over here or over here. When two hands are thrown towards the front of the club, you would see square in the shoulders and square in the hips. So anytime that you see that position, we call that shomen. And the third position that we're going to find ourselves in today is called the gyaku hanmi position. We already explored hanmi, meaning half facing. So gyaku hanmi would mean reverse half facing or reverse side facing. So in this technique, if we took a Zenkutsudachi, that would mean that we are taking the other shoulder and rotating it through and trying to get as far into that position with the reverse hips. So we've done hips one way, hips square. Now as we drive in with that same leg again, in here, you can see that I'm trying to turn my hip into this position, and you can certainly see it in my shoulders and hips tied together, but pushing in here. Okay, now that we understand the principle, we need to take a little bit of time to make sure we understand how the principle is applied. If we find ourselves in a jun position, we need to make sure that our shoulders and our hips are ending in the right position. Again, these are largely hip drills, but as you hear all the time from Sensei Ron, your hips and your shoulders should be tracking each other. Your hips do move independently from your shoulder, but everything should be in a line. So when we are turning, let's say 90 degrees, and I'm going to again continue to use Zenkutsudachi today, if I'm driving into Zenkutsudachi here, I need to make sure that I'm getting into a hanmi position. If I try and throw a jun technique and try to go to shomen or gyaku hanmi, you're going to find that this back leg is going to start to collapse. Regardless of where you put this foot, your hip needs to commit and lock and complete. If I throw jujuki, my hip stays square, and if I throw gyakuzuki, that I commit that hip a little bit more. And you can see how more of my back is exposed into the technique.